Mr.TeenScreams. In the sleepy town of Havenwood, there was a high school that was just as ordinary as the town itself. But the mundane reality of that high school was about to be disrupted in the most horrifying way possible. It all started with three best friends, Ryan, Oliver, and Allie. They were juniors, known for their shared love of science fiction and the paranormal. Their days were spent discussing the latest conspiracy theories, and their nights were spent on the football field, staring up at the stars, wondering if someone or something might be staring back. One day, their science teacher, Mr. Harlow, started behaving strangely. He was always the eccentric kind, but this was different. His voice had an unfamiliar monotone. His eyes were glossed over, and he seemed to have a strange, shuffling walk. The friends noticed it first, but soon it wasn't just Mr. Harlow. It was the entire staff, teachers, janitors, even the cafeteria ladies, all exhibiting the same unsettling behavior. Allie was the first to voice their fears. It's like they're not themselves anymore. Like they're being controlled, she whispered one day in the school library. Ryan and Oliver shared a glance, then nodded, deciding to investigate. Late that night, they snuck into the school, armed with flashlights. Their hearts pounded with every creaking door and echoing footstep. In the science lab, they found what they were looking for. In the dark, the lab was transformed into a nightmarish scene. The teachers lined up like drones, were feeding a thick, gooey substance to an uncanny, gelatinous creature hidden beneath the lab. It pulsed with a sticky glow, its surface rippling with each new feeding. The teacher's eyes were vacant, their movements robotic. Suddenly, Mr. Harlow turned, his hollow gaze meeting Ryan's flashlight beam. Panic surged through them, but before they could run, a shapeless tendril shot out from beneath the lab table, wrapping itself around Oliver. He let out a blood-curdling scream as he was dragged towards the creature. With adrenaline-fueled strength, Ryan and Ellie fought back. They grabbed fire extinguishers off the wall and sprayed the creature, forcing it to release Oliver. The alien let out a gut-wrenching screech, the sound reverberating through the lab. As they pulled Oliver free and ran, they didn't stop until they reached Allie's house. Breathless and shaken, they barricaded the doors and windows. It was clear now an alien parasite had taken over the school. It was infecting everyone, turning them into mindless hosts, and they were next. The following days were a blur of fear and desperation. The town was changing, the alien infection spreading, but they didn't give up. They formulated a plan, using their knowledge of sci-fi lore and a healthy dose of high school chemistry. The three friends broke into the school again, this time armed with homemade flamethrowers and a determination to save their town. The parasite had grown, its tendrils snaking through the school. The infected staff was there, their eyes hollow, bodies poised to protect the creature. With a rallying cry, they attacked. The parasites fought back, its tendrils whipping out to protect itself, but the flames held it at bay. One by one, the infected fell, the alien's control over them breaking as it burned. The flight was brutal and terrifying, but the friends prevailed as the creature let out a final anguish screech and shriveled to nothing. The infected slumped to the ground, and that strange glow leaving their eyes. In the aftermath, the high school was a scene of chaos and destruction. The friends collapsed on the scorched gym floor, their bodies aching, but their spirits soaring. They had done it. They had saved their town. Word spread quickly about their heroic act. The affected staff and students were taken to the hospital, disoriented and confused, but alive and free from the aliens' control. Nobody could quite comprehend what had happened, but one thing was clear: Ryan, Oliver, and Ellie were heroes. Over time, life in Havenwood began to return to normal. The high school was repaired, classes resumed, and the horrifying incident was chalked up as a bizarre anomaly. The details growing fuzzier as the day turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. But the trio never forgot. They continued their stargazing nights, now with a newfound respect for the unknown. Their bond had been solidified by the experience, the shared trauma and triumph, leaving an inedible mark on their friendship. The alien parasite had been defeated, but the scars remained. The school seemed to hum with an eerie reminder of the horror they had faced. The walls whispered secrets of the past, but they weren't afraid. They had faced the unknown and came out victorious. Their days were still filled with science fiction and conspiracy theories, but they were no longer just fantasies. They were reminders of a terrifying reality they had faced and overcome. They were the teachers now, not of academics, but of survival against the most horrifying alien odds. They were living proof that even in the face of unimaginable horror, friendship and courage could triumph. And so, Havenwood High School carried on, a beacon of normalcy amidst the lingering echoes of the extraordinary, a silent testament to the courage of three friends who had stared into the face of the unknown and emerged stronger than ever. High school buddies Jessica, Brian, Marcus, and Laura shared an obsession for the obscure and unexplained. They spent their free time exploring the labyrinthine rabbit holes of conspiracy theories on the internet, swapping stories of government cover-ups, UFOs, and ancient prophecies. One day, they stumbled upon a cryptic thread on an obscure forum, The Hidden Truth. The thread was a collection of conspiracies surrounding their small town, Seaview Heights. The town had a long history of mysterious events, from missing persons to unexplained radio signals. It was an exciting find. The most intriguing theory suggested that a derelict building, once a government research facility known as Echelon Verge, was the epicenter of all these peculiarities. According to the theory, the facility was secretly operational, conducting experiments involving interdimensional travel. Emboldened by curiosity, the friends decided to investigate Echelon Verge. Armed with flashlights, cameras, and a healthy dose of teenage courage, they ventured into the abandoned building. The facility was chillingly silent, the stale air thick with the scent of age and decay. As they descended into the lower levels, they found an active power source still pulsating, illuminating the subterranean corridors. They discovered a chamber with a machine that hummed with energy, the eerie glow of its controls painting their faces in spectral hues. Jessica, the tech savvy of the group, noticed an open terminal with a cryptic message: stability compromised, dimensional rift imminent. She tried to interpret the data. It appeared the machine was designed to create portals to the other dimensions. However, due to some malfunction, it was on the verge of creating a dimensional rift, a tear in the fabric of reality. Suddenly, a portal flickered to life in the chamber. From it emerged shadow figures, their form distorting and twisting as it struggling against the very physics of our world. They were entities from another dimension, their mere presence causing the air to shiver. Fear seized the group, but there was no time to run. The entities moved with unnatural speed, closing in on them. Marcus, a track and field star, decided to distract the entities while his friends worked on the terminal, trying to reverse the machine's effects. With a roar, Marcus led the entities on a chase, his speed just enough to keep him out of their reach. Meanwhile, Jessica and Laura, both skilled in coding, frantically worked on the terminal. Brian, an amateur filmmaker, documented everything, his hands shaking, but his resolve firm. Against all odds, Jessica and Laura found a way to reverse the portal's energy flow. With a push of a button, the machine whirred, the portal fluctuating wildly, but it worked. The entities were sucked back in, disappearing into the other dimension. The portal closed with a burst of light, leaving the chamber in darkness. They found Marcus injured but alive. With Brian's footage as evidence, they returned to the surface. Their world forever changed. They realized the conspiracy theories they had been exploring were more than just stories. Their experience at Echelon Verge transformed them from curious teenagers to the guardians of their town's secret. They vowed to keep the facility a secret to prevent its dangerous technology from falling into the wrong hands. In the end, they were no longer just high school kids fascinated by conspiracy theories. They were the ones who knew the hidden truths, the ones who had stared into the abyss and survived. Their stories were the conspiracy theories, the ones future generations would uncover and wonder, could this be true?